Good morning, fellow journeyers. Wake up. Your soul needs you. This is Rachel. I'm coming to you again live this morning, wanting to talk about some things that are on my mind. I just wanted to get real with you today. I want to be honest about myself and my own struggles, what I've made it through, what I've overcome, and hoping that I can share some stories and maybe that will inspire somebody else to help you to make some positive changes in your life. So I wanted to start out today by reading a small excerpt from a book by Bernadette Logue. It's titled Unleash Your Life. In this book, she poses a question that I really love, and she says, what if what you believe to be true about yourself, about other people, about life, and about this world you live in isn't true? What if it is an illusion created by your mind? What if the illusion keeps you from living the life you were destined for? What if there is more than one version of reality happening right now, and the version you are living in, by choice or by accident, is completely limiting you? And I love these questions. I love how she poses these questions because it makes me think of something bigger than myself. It makes me think of what the possibilities are. I think it gets really easy in this 3D reality that we're living in here on Earth, to just go through the motions. Sometimes life can be pretty mundane. You know, we're getting up, we're going to work every day, we're coming home, we're paying the bills, we're doing laundry, we're doing dishes. You know, the day-to-day monotony of life can get really tiresome, to be honest. And so when I read things like that and I pose these bigger questions, it inspires me and I love it. I love thinking, what if everything is an illusion? What if I can manifest in my own life the kind of life that I want to live? And how exciting is that? I remember when the movie The Secret first came out years ago, and I watched it over and over again. I watched it numerous times and I loved it, and it made me really excited about the idea that I can manifest anything that I want in my own life. And really the premise of the movie, the theme behind it was thinking. You know, you think these things, you visualize these things, and then they manifest in your physical reality. And let me be honest with you, that has not been my life experience. After seeing the movie The Secret, and hearing and reading so many things about manifesting, I did a lot of vision boards, I did a lot of affirmations, I did a lot of visualization of how I saw myself and the house I wanted to live in and the relationship I wanted to have and the car I wanted to drive, and it made me happy and excited to think about all of these things. And yet I still had to get up every day, go to work, often a job I did not want to go to, but I had to go, single parent, had to pay the bills, coming back to my own apartment, still having to do laundry, still having to do dishes, and it's discouraging. You start thinking, you know, is this manifestation stuff for real? Can I really live the kind of life I want to live when the reality that I see around me is not a reflection of that? It's a lot different. And so for a while, I got really discouraged, to be honest, with manifesting. I thought, you know, this is bullshit. You know, this isn't really how life works. You know, it's awesome for some people who can hop online or can write a book and they've become millionaires and they can tell you, you know, do this and do that and think this and think that, and you can have anything you want. And you know, but the reality for most of us in this day-to-day world is that we're still having to make ends meet. We're still having to do things that we don't want to do. So it made me think about, and as I've gotten older, I've been more and more aware of this. What is in my sphere of control and what is out of my sphere of control? And To be honest, the more I learn, the older I get, the more I realize that my sphere of control is not here or here or even really here. It's just inside of myself. I even get up in the morning and look in the mirror as I'm getting dressed, and I'm like, wow, that's not really in my sphere of control anymore either. I'm changing. That's not the same person that I looked like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. How much is in my sphere of control even about my human body? So I've come to terms with the fact that my sphere of control is my perception about the world around me. And at first that was really disheartening because I thought, wow, so all I really have control over is how I choose to look at everything, how I choose to perceive the world, how I choose to feel when I get up every day and do the things that I don't want to do. Am I going to be positive? Am I going to have a positive outlook about it? Or am I going to be negative and have a crappy day? And, sometimes I get up and I'm happy and positive and I'm thankful. And some days I get up and I'm not feeling that way so much. That's the reality of this 3D world that we live in. I've even heard speakers and lecturers talk about, if this is an illusion, that, the moon would not even exist if I was not looking at it, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's so exciting. How cool, Lecturers would say, as a collective whole, we have manifested this building to have this lecture in. Had we not all thought this and decided that this was our reality, this building wouldn't even be here, And it's exciting to think about, The reality is, however, and I started pondering this and thinking about this, what happens when I go to bed early at night and so I don't see the full moon and I come into work in the morning and all my coworkers are saying, oh, hey, did you see the full moon last night? It was so beautiful and da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking, I didn't look at the moon, but the moon was still there apparently because my coworkers saw a moon and took pictures of it, and they're in a collective whole of agreeing that this is what the moon looked like last night, and I didn't even see it. It wasn't even part of my reality. Or I think about the convention center where the inspirational speaker was holding their talk at. And, and I think, well, what about the basketball tournament that was hosted there a week prior? Did those people manifest the building being there for that basketball game? I don't know. So without getting too discouraged, and I don't want to discourage anybody from the reality of manifestation, but I also want to be real about my experience with manifestation, what it's looked like for me in my life, at least thus far. Maybe it'll be different. Maybe I'll post something in a few months and go, oh my gosh, this happened, wow. But right now I have come to the realization that what I have control over is what is inside of me. That is where my sphere of control begins and ends. And that's not discouraging, although it has been for me in the past. It's actually very powerful. Let me relate it to a couple of real life experiences, things I have gone through and am going through in my life. One of the main things, and I'll go back a little ways, was overcoming alcoholism. I have been an alcoholic almost my whole adult life. It has been a real struggle for me. It's been very bad at different times in my life. And I never saw anything different for myself for a lot of years. For a lot of years, I was completely aware that my drinking was not normal, that it was out of control, and that it was a big problem in my life. It was a big problem in my day-to-day life. It was a big problem in holding down jobs, in my relationship with my children. But yet I didn't think I could be any other way. I came to the point in my life where I just thought, this is just who I am. This is the cross that I have to bear, and I'm just going to keep living the way I'm living. I'm just going to try to make this work. Until I got to the point that it was so painful for me to continue living that way that I had to make a change in my life. And let me be very honest with you. Back in 2015, when I first became sober, it was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. And I am not over-exaggerating that phrase at all. I was sweating, I was shaking, I didn't sleep for months. I would get up and I would go to work, I would come home, I would go straight to bed because I did not want to be home alone in my apartment thinking about that I wanted to drink. It was too difficult. And I did that for a long time. I just went through the motions every single day. I just didn't drink. And I felt emotions I hadn't felt for years. It was painful, I was depressed, and I just kept doing it because I had to. I could not go back to living the way that I was living. And then I woke up one morning and it had been 100 days. 100 days in a row that I had not had a drink. And I thought, wow, holy cow, you know, every day is really hard, but it's been 100 days consecutively in a row. And then it was 200 days, and then it was 700 days, and I'm like, I'm doing it. Now I am not an alcoholic. Now I am not a drinker. I didn't think that was possible for me. I didn't think of that as a possibility. I had limited myself in my own mind, in my own perception, that being an alcoholic was who I was, it was how I was, it sucked, it was painful, but that was just the cross I had to bear. And when I made a conscious decision, when I made a choice to change that behavior, now it had to start with my thinking. I had to start thinking, this is not how I want to be anymore. And then I had to start visualizing myself being the kind of person that I wanted to be. But then I had to go through the really tough part of physically following through with the right behavior. I had to align my heart and my thinking with my outward behavior. And that is the most difficult part. And it's also the part about being a human. It's also the part about living in this 3D reality. You know, maybe at a different time in my existence, my soul's existence, I have lived in a dimension on a planet where I could instantly manifest, where I could think something and think it into being. Maybe I will be there again someday. But right now the reality is that I live in a 3D reality, a physical reality. It's a reality that we have created as a collective whole. Like I mentioned earlier with the moon or with the convention center, you know, we as a whole of humans have collectively decided this is our reality, this is what we see, this is what is real, it's tangible, it's what exists. And so in order for my soul to evolve right now on this earth plane, I not only have to think of something and visualize it and want it to happen, but I have to carry out the physical, tangible steps to make it happen. And that is the hardest thing. That is also what I believe the thing that gives our soul the most growth. Another example about that would be me wanting to purchase a home. I've wanted to purchase a home for a long time. I have visualized it. I've thought about what the holidays would look like when my kids come home to visit and I'm in my own house and I get the fireplace going and the Christmas tree lit and it's beautiful, and I've visualized that and I've thought about that. I've done vision boards where one of my number one goals is to be a homeowner. And it's what I would like to do. It's one of my goals that I have, right? So I have thought about it. I have dreamt about it. I have thought about and visualized the perfect house and what that would look like. And then I got to a point where I thought, you know what? if I want to make this happen, if this is the reality that I want, then I have to take tangible steps to make it happen. And so for the last 5 years, I've been putting a little bit of money back every single month in order to have enough money for a down payment for a house. That's the reality of this dimension that we live in right now. If we want to make things happen, we have to physically carry out the steps to make it happen. And so for 5 years, I've been putting away a little bit of money every year, and I've been working on paying down credit cards and working on paying down student loans and getting my credit in order so that I can qualify for a mortgage. And now I'm at a point, 5 years later, where I'm like, you know what? I've gotten my credit to average. Heck yeah, I can qualify for a mortgage. I've gotten enough money down that I can make a down payment on a home. So I've made these things happen. So a lot of manifestation, my personal experience with manifestation, begins with thinking something more for yourself. And that's a huge block. That's a huge barrier. We get stuck in this rut of this day-to-day life where we think this is just the way that it is. This is the way that it's always going to be. And I think that is one of the biggest thought processes, one of the biggest thought patterns that you have to initially overcome. And that is thinking that just because this is where you are in your life right now, this is the way that it's always going to be. It could always be that way. If nothing changes, nothing changes. If you're completely content and happy in your life, then kudos to you. Keep doing what you're doing because you're going to keep getting the same results, right? But if you don't want to keep doing what you're doing and getting the same results, or let me rephrase that, if you don't want to keep getting the same results, then you've got to stop doing what you're doing. So first you think that that's a possibility. It's a possibility that I could live my life sober and not be bored out of my mind and still be happy and still find enjoyment in day-to-day life without having to be inebriated. That's a possibility. And if that's a possibility, then I'm going to think about what that would look like. What would that look like for me to be that kind of person that I want to be? What would that look like for me to wake up every morning and not feel like shit, to not have a hangover? What would that look like for me to have a great relationship with my children again and to not feel guilty about things that I said or that I did the night before that I don't even remember? What would that look like, That might look like being at peace. That might look like my heart and my soul and my mind and my physical reality being on the same level, correlating, being in sync with each other. And when that stuff's in sync with each other, then I'm at peace within myself. I don't walk around feeling guilty, feeling shameful, apologizing every day, right? So my takeaway on this, and what I want to give you as a takeaway on manifesting and the manifestation process is that it is a process. It is a process of thinking that you can have more, thinking that living a different way is a possibility for you. That's the first step. And then visualizing what that possibility would look like and how that would feel to live that way. And then the hardest part is putting forth the physical, tangible steps to make that happen. So going back to what Bernadette Logue said in her book, this passage, about what if this is an illusion you have created in your mind. Think about it in terms of not an illusion of I have thought in my mind that there's a moon and there might not really be a moon there. Or I have thought in my mind that there is a building there that might not really exist. What if the illusion you have created in your mind is just that. It's within yourself. It's not an illusion of what's real on the outside world. It's an illusion that you've created in your mind about what your possibilities are to be a different person or to live a different way. And if that is where our sphere of control begins and ends, then really we have a lot of control. We have a lot of control. But we also have some tangible steps to take and some hard work. And that's where manifesting can get really discouraging. Because you want to just say, I'm going to create a vision board, I'm going to see this for myself, and this is going to happen. This is going to manifest. But you can live that way every day for a long time and still keep getting up and going to work at the same place, in the same house, with the same car, in the same life situation, in the same outer circumstances. So you've got, in order to manifest, you've got to visualize that there's a bigger possibility for yourself. You've got to think about what that possibility looks like. And you've got to hold yourself to a level of accountability that you take the steps to make that happen. And I'm not claiming that I've got it all figured out or that I have manifested everything that I want to manifest. I am at a better place today than I have been ever in my life. I am sober. I am not drinking, and I am at peace with that, and that feels good. But that is a day-to-day process of making the same choices or making different choices every day that accumulate over time that has now made me this person that lives this way. I am at a position where I'm going to be able to purchase a home, and I am super duper excited about that. But that has been a long time in the coming. That was not that I just created a vision board and cut out a picture of a dream home and that was it. All of a sudden I woke up and, I'm in my dream house, that was thinking that it could be real, that it could be a possibility for me. Stopping my limiting beliefs of, I'm a single parent, I don't make enough money, I'm never really going to be able to have this dream, to I'm going to make this happen because this is what I want. And then doing the work every day to work towards that goal, to make that happen. So I don't know. I just wanted to bring forth to you what my experience has been with manifestation, with the illusion of the world that we live in. What does that really look like in the day-to-day life, in the reality of how we're living? What do we really have control over, and what do we not have control over? And although initially, when I realized that what I have control over is just what is inside of me, that was discouraging for me. I have come to a point in my life where I've actually realized that is extremely powerful. If all I have control over is what is inside of me, that gives me a hell of a lot of control. So I'm still a smoker, and I'm still not in a relationship. So those are two things I'm going to work on manifesting: seeing myself in a relationship that I want, and seeing myself as a non-smoker. So more to come on those. I am just a fellow journeyer on this path of trying to create my life and be the kind of person I want to be. So wake up, fellow journeyers. Your soul needs you. Think these things. Expand your consciousness. Think of things bigger than yourself. Visualize what that could look like, and then take the steps to make it happen. Remember, guys, we are in this world, but we are not of this world. Peace and namaste.